Every year, hundreds of thousands of Americans over 60 face the harsh reality of stroke. What surprises many is that the risk doesn't only come from blood pressure or genetics. It often grows quietly from daily habits, especially what we drink. For countless seniors, mornings start with strong coffee, afternoons are filled with sweet sodas, and evenings may include bottled teas loaded with sugar. Each sip may feel harmless, but together they place a heavy burden on the blood vessels that feed the brain. There is, however, a simple alternative rooted in American tradition. Cranberries, the ruby red fruit of autumn and Thanksgiving tables, hold natural compounds that help blood vessels stay flexible and reduce silent inflammation. When paired with a stick of cinnamon, the result is more than a seasonal flavor. It becomes a tea that supports circulation, nourishes the brain, and lowers stroke risk in a gentle, natural way. In today's video, we'll explore why this cranberry cinnamon tea can be such a smart choice for people over 60. You'll learn what science says about its benefits, how to prepare it easily at home, and how to make it part of your weekly routine for long-term protection. If protecting your brain and keeping your circulation strong matters to you, tap the like button, share this with a friend, and subscribe so you never miss the trusted health tips we bring you each week. Across the United States, stroke remains one of the leading health threats for people over 60. It is not a distant concern. It is something that touches families in every community. Each year, hundreds of thousands of seniors face a stroke. And while it may appear sudden, the truth is that stroke risk builds quietly over time. What makes this particularly worrying is that many of the warning signs are easy to dismiss, and the causes often lie in everyday choices. At its core, a stroke happens when blood flow to the brain is interrupted. Without oxygen, brain cells begin to die within minutes. That is why the consequences are often so severe: memory loss, slurred speech, paralysis, or in some cases, death. Most seniors think of stroke as unpredictable, something that just happens. But in reality, it is often the result of years of gradual damage to the blood vessels that feed the brain. High blood pressure is the most common driver. As we age, arteries naturally lose some of their elasticity, making them less able to handle pressure. When the pressure inside those vessels stays high year after year, the inner walls weaken and tiny tears form. The body tries to repair those tears with cholesterol deposits, which only narrow the passage further. Over time, this process makes it easier for a clot to form and block circulation to the brain. Diabetes adds another layer of risk. Elevated blood sugar makes blood vessels stiff and damages the delicate lining that keeps them smooth. This not only accelerates the process of narrowing, but also makes clots more likely to stick. Seniors with diabetes often experience circulation problems in other parts of the body as well, such as slower wound healing or cold feet. But in the brain, those same changes can translate into stroke risk. Cholesterol plays its own role. When levels are high, cholesterol deposits begin to accumulate along vessel walls like a slow buildup of plaque inside a pipe. In younger years, vessels are flexible enough to handle some narrowing. But as flexibility decreases with age, even a small blockage can have a big impact. Combined with high blood pressure and diabetes, cholesterol becomes the third piece of a dangerous puzzle. Lifestyle habits cannot be overlooked. Many older adults lean heavily on coffee for energy, yet too much caffeine can cause sharp spikes in blood pressure. Sugary sodas, still a daily drink for many, flood the bloodstream with glucose, forcing both the pancreas and blood vessels into overdrive. Even bottled teas marketed as healthy often contain more sugar than people realize. These drinks might seem harmless, but taken day after day, they place extra strain on circulation. A less obvious but equally important factor is microcirculation. The network of vessels so small they are thinner than a strand of hair. These tiny channels deliver oxygen and nutrients directly to brain cells. With age, they are often the first to falter. Reduced flexibility or minor blockages in this system can leave brain tissue undernourished, and the early signs are easy to miss: frequent forgetfulness, slower thinking, dizziness when standing up, or moments of disorientation. Too often, seniors brush these off as just getting older, when in fact, they are warnings that the brain's circulation is struggling. To make this more relatable, think of a typical day. You wake up tired and reach for a second or third cup of strong coffee. At lunch, a soda gives you a temporary boost. In the evening, a sweetened iced tea finishes the meal. Each drink feels small on its own, but together, they load the body with caffeine and sugar, both of which push blood vessels toward greater stress. Now imagine a different pattern, replacing just one of those drinks with something lighter, rich in antioxidants and supportive of circulation. The difference may not be obvious in a single day, but across weeks and months, it can shift the balance away from vessel damage and toward vessel protection. This is the reality of stroke after 60. It rarely stems from a single dramatic event. Instead, it comes from years of silent strain, blood pressure pushing too high, sugar wearing down the vessel walls, cholesterol building slowly, and everyday drinks tipping the scale in the wrong direction. The hopeful message, though, is that just as the risk builds gradually, protection can also build gradually. Each time we make a choice that reduces pressure, stabilizes sugar, or nourishes vessel walls, we take a step away from danger and toward resilience. That is where cranberries and cinnamon come into the story. They are not magic bullets, but they do offer natural compounds that fight inflammation, strengthen vessels, and keep microcirculation flowing. In a world where so many beverages increase strain, a simple cranberry cinnamon tea does the opposite. It gives the brain's vessels a chance to recover and remain flexible. And that is the perfect place to turn next, understanding why cranberries, in particular, are such powerful allies for brain health after 60. When most people think of cranberries, they imagine Thanksgiving sauce or a glass of sweet cranberry juice at a holiday table. But behind that tart flavor lies a fruit packed with compounds that directly support the health of blood vessels, especially the tiny ones feeding the brain. For seniors over 60, cranberries are far more than a seasonal decoration. They are a natural tool for keeping circulation strong and lowering stroke risk. The secret is in their color. The deep red of cranberries comes from anthocyanins, a group of antioxidants that help protect vessel walls from oxidative stress. Oxidative stress is essentially the wear and tear caused by free radicals, unstable molecules that attack healthy tissue. Over years, this constant stress weakens the delicate lining of blood vessels, making them stiff, brittle, and prone to damage. Cranberries fight back by neutralizing free radicals, keeping vessel walls smoother and more flexible. Beyond anthocyanins, cranberries also contain proanthocyanidins, compounds known for reducing inflammation. Chronic low-grade inflammation is one of the silent drivers of vessel aging. It acts like a slow-burning fire inside the arteries, making them less elastic and more likely to develop blockages. By calming this inflammation, cranberries help vessels maintain their ability to expand and contract as blood flows, a key factor in preventing clots from forming. Scientific studies reinforce this. Research published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition showed that older adults who consumed cranberry products regularly had improvements in vascular function, measured by how well blood vessels dilated after a meal. Another study from the University of East Anglia in the UK found that cranberry flavonoids improved blood flow and reduced stiffness in arteries among participants over middle age. While no single food is a cure, these findings highlight how a simple fruit can make a measurable difference in circulation. What makes cranberries especially relevant for seniors is their impact on microcirculation. These tiny vessels, smaller than a strand of hair, are the ones that most directly nourish the brain. When microcirculation falters, the brain starts to feel it in subtle ways, forgetting familiar names, losing concentration halfway through reading, or needing more time to process information. Cranberries, by keeping vessels flexible and reducing blockages, help sustain the steady oxygen supply that brain cells depend on. Imagine two different seniors at the grocery store. One fills the cart with sodas, bottled teas, and sugary juices. The other picks up a bag of fresh or frozen cranberries. The first choice leads to repeated sugar spikes, added stress on vessels, and greater inflammation. The second provides antioxidants that directly counter those stresses. Over weeks and months, those small differences accumulate into very different outcomes for brain health. Cranberries are harvested in the fall in the US, but thanks to freezing, they are available year-round. Frozen cranberries retain most of their antioxidants, making them just as effective as fresh ones. For seniors who may not shop as often, keeping a bag in the freezer means a healthy option is always at hand. They can be simmered into a tea, blended into a smoothie, or even added to oatmeal using simple steps that bring protective compounds into the daily routine. Of course, it's worth mentioning that pure cranberry juice, without added sugar, is another option. The challenge is that most cranberry drinks on the market are heavily sweetened to mask the fruit's natural tartness. Too much added sugar cancels out many of the benefits, especially for seniors managing diabetes or trying to protect their vessels. That's why using whole cranberries in tea or cooking is often the better choice. It delivers the antioxidants without the sugar overload. What sets cranberries apart is not just their nutritional profile, but how they fit into a broader pattern of protective foods. Just as leafy greens support blood pressure and fatty fish protect the heart, cranberries bring their own unique support to the brain. They act at the vessel level, where stroke risk quietly builds. Instead of waiting for damage to accumulate, they provide day-to-day reinforcement. Cinnamon is a spice many of us connect with comfort sprinkled on oatmeal, baked into pies, or stirred into warm drinks on chilly evenings. Yet behind that familiar aroma lies a set of compounds that can make a meaningful difference for brain circulation, especially after 60. What makes cinnamon so valuable is its ability to calm two forces that quietly damage blood vessels over time: inflammation and unstable blood. Sugar. Both of these can accelerate vessel aging, making them stiff, narrow, and more vulnerable to clots. Cinnamon contains polyphenols, plant-based antioxidants that reduce low-grade inflammation inside arteries. Think of inflammation as a constant low fire smoldering along the vessel walls, slowly weakening them. By cooling that fire, cinnamon helps vessels maintain flexibility, which is essential for steady blood flow to the brain. Equally important is cinnamon's effect on blood sugar. After a sweet meal or drink, sugar levels can spike, then crash, putting stress on circulation. For seniors, many of whom are living with prediabetes or diabetes, these swings are particularly harmful. Studies, including one published in Diabetes Care, have found that cinnamon can improve insulin sensitivity, helping the body use sugar more efficiently and keep levels steadier. Stable blood sugar not only protects the heart and vessels, but also ensures the brain isn't jolted by sharp highs and lows that sap energy and focus. To picture the difference, imagine 2 mornings. In the first, breakfast is heavy on refined carbs toast with jam. Maybe a pastry, and within hours you feel tired, unfocused, and a little shaky. In the second, you have a pumpkin or cranberry smoothie with just half a teaspoon of cinnamon blended in. Instead of that roller coaster effect, your blood sugar rises gently, your energy holds steady, and your vessels avoid unnecessary strain. That's the quiet advantage cinnamon brings. Another reason cinnamon works well for older adults is how easily it blends into daily routines. A small amount, half to 1 teaspoon, is enough to deliver benefits without overwhelming the stomach. Unlike supplements or complicated recipes, cinnamon can simply be added to drinks, sprinkled over fruit, or mixed into yogurt. The spice enhances flavor while adding protection, making healthy choices more enjoyable and sustainable. In the context of cranberry tea, cinnamon is more than just an accent. It complements the tartness of the fruit, creating a warm, balanced flavor. Together, they form a drink that feels like a treat while working to reduce 2 of the most significant drivers of stroke: vessel stiffness and unstable circulation. It's important to note, though, that moderation matters. Large amounts of cinnamon, especially the common cassia type, can be harsh on the liver. Sticking to small culinary doses ensures you get the benefits without risk. For those concerned, Ceylon cinnamon, sometimes called true cinnamon, contains lower levels of the compound that can cause issues, making it a gentler option. When you look at cinnamon this way, it is more than a kitchen spice. It is a practical, flavorful tool that helps keep the body's internal rhythm steady. By calming inflammation, smoothing out blood sugar, and adding warmth to everyday recipes, cinnamon quietly supports the very vessels that keep the brain supplied with oxygen and nutrients. For seniors aiming to protect memory and reduce stroke risk, this makes cinnamon a valuable ally. Used wisely, it turns an ordinary drink into a habit that nourishes both body and mind, 1 cup at a time. Knowing the benefits is valuable, but what makes them real is the way we prepare and enjoy the tea. The good news is that cranberry cinnamon tea is simple, inexpensive, and easy to adapt to the rhythm of daily life. To make 1 pot, you only need a handful of cranberries fresh when in season, or frozen the rest of the year, plus a small stick of cinnamon or half a teaspoon of ground cinnamon. Rinse the berries, place them in a pot with about 3 cups of water, and bring it to a gentle simmer. As the berries soften, they release their deep red color and antioxidants into the water. Add the cinnamon while it simmers for 10 minutes. Then strain the liquid into a mug. The result is a warm, ruby red tea with a hint of spice that feels both refreshing and comforting. For those who prefer variety, this tea works both hot and cold. In cooler months, it warms the body and eases circulation. In warmer weather, you can let it cool, add a few ice cubes, and enjoy it as a tart, spiced iced tea. Either way, the benefits remain intact. A moderate serving around 1 cup at a time is enough to deliver antioxidants without overwhelming the stomach. Seniors with sensitive digestion may find it easier to sip slowly, spreading the serving over half an hour rather than drinking all at once. 2 to 3 times per week is a reasonable target for most older adults. That rhythm gives the body steady exposure to the protective compounds in cranberries and cinnamon, without creating strain from overconsumption. Remember, balance is key. More is not always better. For people managing diabetes, blood pressure, or heart conditions, it is best to prepare the tea without added sugar. The natural tartness may feel strong at first, but taste buds adjust quickly, and the absence of extra sweeteners preserves the health benefits. If a little sweetness is desired, a small spoon of honey can be used occasionally, though plain tea is best for long-term use. Convenience is another reason this recipe works well for seniors. Frozen cranberries are widely available in American supermarkets, especially in the freezer aisle, where they are stored for use year-round. Cinnamon is already in most pantries and lasts for months without losing its flavor. With just 2 ingredients on hand, the tea can be prepared in under 20 minutes. There is also a cultural comfort in this preparation. Cranberries are tied to American traditions, from Thanksgiving tables to autumn harvest markets. Cinnamon carries its own familiar warmth, reminding many of home-cooked pies or spiced cider. By turning these nostalgic flavors into a weekly tea ritual, seniors can strengthen health while enjoying tastes deeply woven into their own memories. To make the habit sustainable, it helps to connect the tea with an existing routine. Some may choose to prepare it in the morning, sipping it while reading the newspaper. Others may enjoy it in the evening, replacing heavier drinks that disturb sleep. Linking the tea to a set time of day makes it easier to repeat, and over weeks it becomes second nature. The practicality of cranberry cinnamon tea is that it doesn't ask for dramatic change. It slips into daily life quietly. Yet each serving brings small, measurable protection for the vessels feeding the brain. Over time, these moments add up, building a pattern of care that supports memory, focus, and circulation. We've walked through a full journey together, starting from the real danger stroke poses for seniors, and ending with a simple, practical drink that can make a real difference. Let's gather the threads one more time. First, we reminded ourselves how stroke risk builds silently after 60, often from a mix of medical conditions and daily habits that slowly strain the vessels feeding the brain. Second, we explored cranberries, whose deep red compounds protect vessel walls, keeping them elastic and strong. Third, we turned to cinnamon, a spice that does more than flavor. It steadies blood sugar, reduces inflammation, and eases the stress that ages circulation. And finally, we moved into practice, learning how to prepare the tea with simple steps, using ingredients available year-round, and turning it into a ritual that is both comforting and protective. The larger message here is that protecting brain health doesn't always require complicated regimens. Sometimes, it is as simple as choosing a natural drink that works quietly in the background, day after day. A cup of cranberry cinnamon tea is not a cure, but it is a steady ally for circulation and memory. Of course, everyone's health is unique. Those managing diabetes, liver conditions, or other chronic concerns should check with their doctor before making any major change. Even with something as natural as this tea, moderation is always the safest path. So here is your next step. Don't just think of this recipe as information. Try it, taste it, and see how it fits into your life. Small but repeated actions are what shape long-term health. If you found today's advice useful, share it with someone who could benefit. Subscribe for more trusted tips. And let's keep building stronger habits together, one cup at a time.